No, it's still low.
Hi, everyone.
Chris, are you talking?
Yeah, I'm trying to talk. Can you hear me?
Not you.
You got me?
No.
Oh.
How's your is Chris on your side? Is your mic thing up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on, connected.
He's what?
You want me to try to call in?
No, because we can't see if you want to speak and everything. It's not going to change.
What about if I call in but keep myself on video?
It's the audio's still going to go through the same spot.
Hmm. You need me to pop down there? Is it not going to work out?
Hold on.
Well, on the lighter side, that photo of Steve watching the hubcaps, pretty good.
Right?
I'm glad Dover's in a drought.
I don't know why that wasn't on Twitter.
Right? They should make you go back in wintertime when it's all covered.
Mm-hmm.
What did we end up having for a percentage of respondents?
We ended up winning.
What?
We got more today than they did. I said, what am I doing this for? No, on April 15th, they had 63 and we had 62 point something.
Oh, that's so close.
And we're like now, and they're like 69. And Durham's like 54.
Wow.
Still not good enough.
All their people moved out of town at the beginning of the counting.
Oh, right. Huh.
Can I have them drive down? Sorry about this.
One of the challenges.
Yep.
see a Channel 13 budget request increase coming in the future.
Yeah.
See, but I hear you
We're fine.
being amplified.
Yeah.
I don't
just
hear myself. I mean,
Try talking closer.
I don't know.
Testing.
Yours seems okay.
It does?
A little bit. Oh, he's still there.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I do hear like a,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're
I just
all
have a really
COVID now on
sensitive
them.
Yeah.
Don't lick the microphones right now. Christian, can you talk?
Hi, everyone.
Still low.
Yeah, do you just want me to come down?
No, we're close, we think.
It-
Right.
Hey, hello.
Yep, you're fine.
Oh, there it is.
Gotcha.
Right,
Okay.
so he's on public comment, you have the right to attend this way, so you can't, yeah. Okay, we ready? Are we on? Yep. Okay.
All right. Then I will call the September 2nd meeting of the Newmarket Town Council to order, and we will start, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'm going to start just by saying that Councillor Matthews is joining us via Zoom, and do I need to ask questions?
Yeah.
So just the regular
Yeah.
questions, okay. Is it
Not practical.
not practical, thank you. Is it not practical for you this evening?
Yes.
And is there anyone with you tonight?
No.
And then the next item that we have is our public who wishes to speak.
We can do it in my report if you want. Yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public forum at 7:07. And our next item is the July 15th non-public meeting minutes.
It's my fault. I have to finish those up.
Okay. So our next item is the August 5th, 2020 meeting minutes, and I would accept a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 5th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
Are there any questions, any comments, any corrections? Seeing none, if you would call the roll, please.
Councilor Sanders.
Aye.
Councilor Dumont.
Aye.
Councilor Brayback. Councilor Kuiper. Councilor Matthews.
Aye.
Councilor Burns.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
And then the next item is the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get into my written report, I have a few items on unwritten. First, that we are looking at scheduling a joint meeting with the planning board on October 14th at 6 p.m. Just if you could look at your calendars and let us know if you can't make it that day, that'd be great. The council did receive all of their the goals from Primex. So if you could review those, and if there's any changes, please let us know. I wanted to let the council know that we have increased our drought level to stage 3 due to the lack of rain that we've had. I know it's kind of funny saying that what's going on now, but what we're doing now, it's a mandatory 2-day restrictions on lawn watering by address. So you're restricted to 2 days a week between the hours of 5 and 8 a.m. and 6 and 9 p.m. Odd numbers are Monday and Wednesday. Tuesdays and Thursdays are even numbers, and no washing driveways, sidewalk, cars, or boats at home. You can use a private car wash if need be. Three things that are not on the agenda. Also, I am going to be requesting a brief non-public session meeting under RSA 91A:2 for personnel and security. Second, you have on your agenda for a first reading a resolution to correct the Link Together Kids CDBG application. During the last week, we received a number of requests for additional CDBG grant funds related to COVID. So while we're still going to go forward with a public hearing, there's going to be some additional programs that are involved in that. So the wording of the resolution will look different. I'm going to ask for an amendment to that resolution at the next meeting, and we'll get you the list of all the programming in your email prior to that. The public hearing notice will have the programs in there. And finally, I'm going to ask for the request to remove funds from the Capital Reserve Fund for technology to be held over for a third reading. So you'd be acting on that at the next meeting in September. So finally, to my reopening of town written report. On August 31st, we reopened Town Hall to the public. As of that date, all offices are open for walk-in traffic with masks are mandatory. We only allow a certain number of people to key up in the hallways while maintaining social distancing. As you know, the Town Hall Auditorium is open for meetings of town boards only. This room has been reduced from 174 to 19, including the members of committees, to ensure social distancing. Use of the auditorium must be scheduled through the town manager's executive assistant. Tables and chairs cannot be moved as they are set up for social distancing. Again, masks must be worn until a member of the board, committee, or public reaches their seat, then they can remove that mask. If more than 19 people attend a meeting, the town council chambers may be used as an overflow. If not, the meeting must be canceled and rescheduled. Town council chambers cannot be used at this time for public meetings. The next item, the primary election, and I'm going to ask the moderator to come forward as well. That next Tuesday, September 8th, is the primary election day. As you know, we're going to be divided into 2 wards for this. For schedules for councilors to work, it is in the written report. And I'm going to need a majority of the council here at the central polling location at the end of the night to certify the vote. And if the moderator wants to come forward and have a discussion with the council about any other election procedures, we can do so.
Thank you, Steve. Madam Chair, good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know, I'm Chris Hawkins. I'm your town moderator. Obviously, with the COVID stuff, there's been an awful lot of changes made to our election process. So this is going to be an unprecedented event for us. We are very grateful. We have a lot of volunteers ready to go. We're going to, I'm sure you're all aware, we're going to be calling on the council to be more active. You all do a great job anyway, but to be even more active than usual in helping us get the process going ahead. The town administrator has already alluded to the fact that we have 2 wards. If people are uncertain what ward they're in, they should contact the town clerk's office. And in general, because I keep an eye on the various community Facebook pages. I hardly ever surface on them, but I do from time to time. But I certainly keep track of the discussion. The authoritative source for election information for anybody in the public who wants it is the town clerk's office. A lot of the stuff is taped to the front door of Town Hall. It's on the town website. But if you have questions, the best thing to do is just call the town clerk's office, and they'll put you on the right track. Ward 1 is here at Town Hall. Ward 2 votes at the community center. We're going to have, if you're not sure what ward you're in, check the website. The information is there, or call the town. If you're in Ward 2 and you decide you're going to try to sneak into Ward 1, that's not going to work. We're going to have you go down to the community center and vice versa. There's not going to be an electronic voting machine at the community center. We have one for the whole town. It's going to be here in Town Hall. Every ballot that's cast in the community center is going to be kept in a secure lockbox. There's actually going to be 2 lockboxes, but let's stick with one for the time being. At the end of the night, the lockbox will be escorted by the town clerk, a Democrat, a Republican, I think either one of the supervisors, and a Newmarket police officer. It'll be transported up here, and the ballots will be put into the machine here. So we're going to be later than usual. We're going to have to get all those things into the machine. so the results will not be available within a few minutes after the polls close. It's going to be quite some time. It's going to be a much later night than usual. We strongly encourage absentee voting. Exactly 1,000 absentee ballot applications have been made, and I know because my wife was number 1,000. Approximately 700 have been returned so far. That is very consistent with the statewide average. Typically, if you send out 10, you get 7 back. That's historically, so we're currently on the historical average for the return of absentee ballots. To put it in perspective, what it means to have 700 absentee ballots, the last presidential primary election, we were in the firehouse. I think we had somewhere between 300 and 400, and I think it took a little more than 3 hours to process those. It takes a long time to process absentee ballots. So having 700 is quite a challenge. The Secretary of State this year is permitting us to pre-process absentee ballots. That will take place here in the Town Hall Auditorium starting at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. Pre-processing means that we will be opening the outer envelope. We will be highlighting the names of people on the checklist from the absentee ballots. And that is the opportunity for folks who are considering challenging absentee ballots. This is your opportunity to do it, is to be here at 8 o'clock on Friday morning for that purpose. We'll have social distancing and everything in place. We'll be announcing the names of the people who are casting absentee ballots as usual, but there will not be an opportunity to challenge absentee ballots on Election Day. So fair warning. The return to undeclared process, in the past we've had a separate table and you go over and you sign a book. The majority of Newmarket voters are actually undeclared. It's roughly 40%, hangs around 40%. So we get a lot of return to undeclared. Different process this year. What will happen this year is you will walk up to a table. If you're voting live, you will check in. There'll be 2 ballot clerks, and then you will slide down to another table where you will be handed your ballot, either Democrat or Republican, depending. And then if you will then be given a return to undeclared form if you're an undeclared voter. You fill that out, and then there'll be a separate box for you to drop that in, and the supervisors of the checklist will pick up those forms later and return you to undeclared at that time. You can also do it at a later date, but if you want to do it on the polling day, this is how you're going to do it. We just can't have multiple people handling a single book. It's just not going to work for us this year. So there has been, I follow the moderators listserv pretty closely. The New Hampshire Municipal Association maintains one. It's extremely active. There has been no topic in my, I don't know, it feels like 100, but 7 years that has had more discussion than whether or not masks can be required for voting. The Secretary of State and Attorney General came out with an opinion last week saying that it is within the moderator's discretion whether to require in-person masks for in-person voting. The answer for Newmarket is yes, to be consistent with the action that the Town Council has taken. Masks will be required to vote in person. That includes anybody who's going to be inside the polling place, observers, challengers, people like that. We're going to provide masks for people who don't have them and want them. For folks who cannot or will not wear a mask, alternative means of voting will be provided. There'll be a separate location within the polling place where you can vote, or you can do it by absentee ballot on the day if you qualify. So no one's going to be denied the opportunity to vote. It's just that if you want to vote in the usual process, you have to wear a mask. But everyone who wants to vote, who is qualified to vote in Newmarket, will be given an opportunity to do so. This is based on the best advice that we have from the state epidemiologist, the best advice that we have from the Attorney General's office, and we have our own separate legal opinion on this point. And to be this will be required in both polling places, and there simply won't be exceptions because that's not fair. So that's how it's going to be this year. Pens, we got a gazillion pens your pen will be, you can either take it with you or you can chuck it away, but there won't be a pen in your voting booth. You'll be given a pen, take it away. And I just want to emphasize, this is a new process for all of us. We're going to have at least two greeters at each location. We typically have one. So there's going to be lots of people there to help. We're going to ask people to maintain social distancing in lines. There's going to be, we have two separate wards so we can have fewer voting booths in each location. We want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to vote. And we're trying to balance those things as best we can. We are in a bit of uncharted territory, so I'm going to ask people. Newmarket voters are typically really great, and we rarely have folks who are difficult. But we are in uncharted territory. We just ask folks to have a little bit of patience with us. Whatever issues arise, we're going to solve them as best we can, and I'm confident we're going to be able to get through this. And the process is going to be successful. We get a lot of cooperation from the town administrator, from the director of public works, who I know is standing behind me somewhere, the chief of police, and of course Terry and her staff are absolutely fantastic. So our supervisors, everybody's doing a great job. Clay Mitchell is going to be assistant moderator responsible for the community center, and I'm going to be stationed here at Town Hall. So are there any questions?
What kind of PPE is available for the town councilors and the other poll workers?
There's going to be masks, of course. Mm-hmm. There's going to be sneeze guards, essentially, the plexiglass screens. I believe we're going to have gloves available. Steve is nodding his head at me, so I know that's right. The state epidemiologist does not believe that things like gowns or face shields are required, so we're just following that guidance. But to sum it up, all the PPE recommended by the state epidemiologist will be available, and you'll have the opportunity to renew it. So the state has provided all this stuff for us, and the town clerk has all that stuff ready to go.
Councilor Dumont?
Yes, you actually answered most of my questions. I am still curious to know, in terms of staff that you'll have on site between each ward, do we have an idea in mind? Are we thinking like 10 volunteers in between each of them? Or I guess I'm just trying to figure out, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of question and concern. We might need just the extra help.
Yeah, I'm trying to add it up in my head. Mm-hmm. So I think 10, off the top of my head, easily 10, and probably more.
Oh, all right.
I've got another assistant moderator, Cliff Chase, who's going to be helping out of the community center. And frankly, we're going to ask counselors to do some things that you never have previously had to do.
All right.
So that between town staff and volunteers.
That's the other thing. We're going to shut down a number of offices. So even if they're not a resident, so they can't serve as ballot clerks or any of those positions, they can still do some of the running of items back and forth and those kind of things that are necessary. Right. So everybody knows it's an all hands on deck. Yeah. All police officers are going to be working that day, so in case anything's needed as well. Mm-hmm. So everybody's going to try to make it as seamless as possible. Yeah, I neglected to mention Steve offered to shut down the town offices and have everybody volunteer that day if necessary. So staffing is not going to be an issue.
Perfect.
People have responded really terrifically to our request. They typically do. It's that kind of town. So.
Good. Well, thank you. I appreciate the work you're putting in on this.
Plus, it's the opportunity to spend a full day with me. So.
Can't go wrong.
You can, but.
Councilor Hiker.
Do you have any rough guesses how many people you'll be expecting at each one of those?
Well, turnout for state primaries is typically not that high. So if we already have 700 ballots cast, don't hold me to this, but let's just assume that we double it.
And just to let people know, right now the weather is 78 and sunny, which is always an impact as well.
Yeah. Let's just, for purposes of discussion, say we're going to do double that. but state primaries typically don't turn out a lot. It's the general election is when the rubber is going to hit the road, because those numbers are much higher.
Right, especially when it's one party, the governor's already in office, so there's only a primary on governor on one side. Senate, there's somebody already in office, so it's not open seat, so there's only a primary on one side, on the other side. Just not as big of a draw for the primary.
I have in my phone, but I don't have memorized how many people we had in the last state primary. 15 to 20%, I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, town elections are typically around 12%
Yeah.
turnout. Presidential goes into the 70s easily, so that's my guess, John. That's my best guess.
I just have a quick question. Will we still be counting ballots as, like in other elections, at the end of the evening?
Yes, it's just going to be more delayed. It's going to be pushed off. It's going to take longer. But yes, we have to get all that done. There's mandatory reporting that we have to do within 24 hours, and we get it done just as quick as we can. We'd like people to go home with a pretty good idea of what the outcome is going to be. You put me in mind of something, and now I've forgotten what I wanted to say. Anyway, is there any other questions?
People sometimes.
I was going to ask, do you expect to have a decision by the end of that night, or should folks expect something by like 8 a.m. the next morning?
Well, we don't want to go home until we have every ballot in the machine. So that'll be the preliminary results,
Okay.
and then you'll have the write-ins. The write-ins can take a long time, but the official results we typically publish the same night as well.
All right.
So we make every effort to get reported before the night, we don't want to wait till the next day, we want to get it done. So
Understood.
I wish I could remember what I wanted to say. I've completely forgotten now. Anyway,
Will there be, well, no, because students will be in school.
It's the first day of school.
It's the first day of school.
yeah,
During the general election, do you think, or?
I'm reluctant. I've considered this because the high school students, they're absolutely fantastic and helpful, and it's a lot of fun to have them there. I'm a little bit circumspect about it this year. I may talk to Ms. McGilvery about it, but I'm very cautious about doing that under these circumstances. People are already, it's that much more to manage, frankly.
Right.
And with the stakes being a little bit higher, I don't know. I'm up in the air about it, and I'm happy to have input about it if people have thoughts. Do you know what we're talking about? You look puzzled.
No.
Okay. People frequently look puzzled when I talk to them.
Well, I'm not seeing any other questions, so thank you so much for all the time that you've put into this effort. Chris, we really appreciate you as moderator and all of your, so
That's kind. Thank you.
thank you.
Just one other COVID-related item. It was reported at a meeting earlier today that we currently have 16 cases in town. That was 16 total cases since February. Right now we have 3 active. Just want to make sure that's cleared up. And that's been the biggest tick we've had in a little bit, which is still a small tick. I just want to make sure that that's clear. We only have 3 active cases. The next, in my packet, the council has a beautiful picture of yours truly scrubbing the hubcaps of a City of Dover fire truck, as Newmarket came in second to this in the Dover-Durham Newmarket Census Challenge. As you're aware, the losing communities, town managers and city managers had to go to the winning community and wash their fire truck. The good news was that Dover's under a drought, so we could not actually wash the vehicle, but we did wash the hubcaps, and I did provide you with this photo of the event, and it was on the front page of the local media, of the same photo or something similar. I want to bring up the former water plant that's on Packers Falls Road. I'm not sure if the council's aware of it. It's actually a pretty beautiful building. That it served as our water facility for many years. With the new wastewater treatment facility open, moved to that facility, and the Director of Environmental Services is going to write an RFP to remove all the remaining equipment from the building. After, I would suggest we look for another use or sell the facility. One thought would be looking to addressing space needs here at Town Hall. We do not have adequate storage or meeting space. If you think about it, only have 2 conference rooms, and this is one, and the other one is council chambers. So we have no place to grow in this building, really. But we should, if that's something we should look at before we declare it surplus and sell it, is there something else we could use it for? But as soon as we get the equipment done, we'll come forward with some ideas. I do not have a expense and revenue report yet. They're still closing up last year's to get the next one out. I did want to let everybody know that the McAllen Dam drawdown has begun. So you will be hearing shortly from people very concerned that there's no water in the river. That's part of the process of fixing the dam, and we're trying to keep it as quick, make it as quick as possible. For the facilities director position, I'm still waiting for a response from the superintendent of schools. And that's all I have tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Councilor Tupin.
Yeah, I just have a couple regarding going into a stage 3 drought conditions. I don't really remember a time where we're at stage 3, so feel free to refresh my memory if it was fairly recently.
We've been actually in stage 3 for many years.
Have we?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just been there.
It was there. The difference is now that we have more wells on, the new wells, that we were down lower. So we're actually gone up, and that's only because of the drought that we're all going through. For example, again, City of Dover cannot do any watering because they're stage 4.
Okay.
We're not there yet, and that's the benefit of our new wells going on. The only other reason why it's down that low is because we're repairing, we're fixing the McIntosh well.
Perfect.
To make it the blending facility. So that's the only reason why we're there.
I felt it was important to bring up just because I'm not sure how many people pay attention to those water stage levels and might hear stage 3 and get concerned. Do you think just in general moving forward that we expect that number to change or remain relatively consistent?
It depends on what we get in October, but
Okay.
and once we finish the McIntosh well project.
No,
So
perfect. Thank you.
yep.
Any other questions for the town manager? I just had a couple.
Sure.
One was about the Primex goals. So you said review them, and we will formally adopt them at our next meeting.
Yep. And just to go further, I know I met with the chair and the vice chair last week. They're very interested in the council's goals because they want to make sure that anything that they bring forward for ordinances follow the council's goals, so we can work together with some suggested changes.
That's great. And then, first, actually, Councilor Braybeck, do you have those? Did you the council goals? Okay, just making sure. And then the water plant, the RFP to remove the equipment. I toured the water plant, I don't know, it was probably like 7 years ago, and I remember some really large pieces of equipment, so that's, I'm assuming what
That's what has to come out.
And it would be a significant expense, or?
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna ballpark it was $35,000, but we already have it in reserve funds.
And can any of that equipment be sold?
I'm not sure. I think he's gonna look into that.
So seeing no other questions or comments, we will move on to the town council committee assignments.
Hey, Tony, I had a question. I don't know if it's showing up on that request to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not working.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Steve, you had mentioned the parking thing in your report. Were you going to comment about that?
I just haven't met with them yet, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks.
So the town council committee assignments. Did you want to?
Yeah. We have a number of vacant committees, and since we have Councilor Braybeck on board, we want to make sure that it's a good chance just to look at them and see if any changes you'd like to make, or is anybody wanting to jump in one of those vacant ones and maybe give up a different one. The other item is I am currently the Newmarket's representative to the Coast Bus Board of Directors. I don't have the time to go to the meetings. They're usually on Wednesday mornings once a month at 8 a.m. And I would either ask a counselor or it can be a member of the public to serve as Newmarket's representative. And I will be honest, I have not been attending meetings, and I just didn't think it was fair, so.
I will, seeing as how we have some vacancies and we've formed some new committees, I mean, I wonder if we shouldn't put that out to the public to see if there's
Sure.
some interest.
Coast?
For
Yep.
Coast, unless someone's, has a burning desire to be the Newmarket rep to Coast, but somebody in the community might have that, interest and passion and knowledge. Is that acceptable? And then as far as the others, so we have an alternate vacancy on the budget committee. Was that Casey?
That was.
Okay.
Vacants are basically Casey.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I didn't remember the budget committee one. The Conservation Commission, and then the Ad hoc Riverfront Advisory Committee. So I'm going to let that hang in the air. Councilor Dumont.
Yes. I'll just say, if anybody's interested in that alternate position on the budget committee, I think I actually had only asked Casey once the entirety of last year to cover for those meetings. So it's very rare, but occasionally one does come up, but don't feel as like it's going to be a regular commitment that I would need you to cover, in case anybody wants to, join in there.
In addition to throw the new counselor under the bus, it's a great way to learn about the ins and outs of town government and school government, because you're going to hear a budget item out there. The only other one I'd say would be CIP, that you learn a lot as well.
Right.
So.
And then the Conservation Commission and the Ad hoc Riverfront Advisory Committee. And Casey served on the Conservation Commission for, I want to say, he was probably in his 5th year. So probably one of the longest serving committee or town councilor reps to the Conservation Commission, because I think that for at least a bunch of years in a row, it was one and done.
Yeah, and it's a very active committee.
It is a very active committee, and they have, and the Conservation Commission and the Ad hoc Riverfront Advisory Committee definitely have some overlap, because I think that the Shanda Park is on both of their radars. So.
Do you know what days the Conservation Commission meets?
No, but I can check.
It used to be Monday. I was gonna say different days, so I have no idea.
Isn't that what we always said?
And has the
The
ad
new
hoc
member too is all
Riverfront
you can do.
What's that?
The other question is, has the ad hoc Riverfront?
We have not. I actually got an email last week. Thursdays for conservation.
Days.
At 7.
It's looking like, according to the calendar, it's the second Thursday of every month.
I could do the Conservation Commission if no one else wants to. I'd be happy to.
That'd be great.
Do you want to get off another one, or?
I mean, I'm an alternate to the CIP and the planning board. I'm also an alternate, so, and then the highway safety attorney, so that's fine.
Okay. That'd be great. And then the Ad hoc Riverfront
Councilor
Advisory
Brayback.
Committee. You
Yeah,
can.
can you hear me first of all? Is this
Yes.
working?
Yeah.
I'm happy to step in anywhere. I wanted to take a step back and let anyone else who's more senior take advantage of the openings, but certainly would be very interested in alternate on the budget committee. It's been a great learning opportunity. And happy to help with the Riverfront Advisory Committee if no one else is trying to.
That would be awesome.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to say I will make sure that Dan gets you in on those emails so you can start following along with our stuff.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll follow up with you too.
Of course.
And the budget committee really sort of kicks in,
Give it
I
a
guess,
couple
about
weeks.
this time.
November.
Yeah, November through January is like the biggest chunk of time for the budget committee. Great. Or
I don't think so. I think we just always did
All right, then moving on. Let's see. So, committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Councilor Dumas.
Yes, the budget committee met 2 nights ago. We did have a fairly good conversation with Representative Patty Lovejoy. Talked about a bit about New Hampshire's tax situation as a whole, how funds are appropriated and related. So you can go online and take a look at the meeting, and I would recommend sitting and listening to it. I think it's about, I would say it's about an hour in to the meeting, but it is informative nonetheless, and it does help you understand New Hampshire's current tax situation, our property tax burdens, how we fund our schools, why we fund our schools the way we do, and related. Also, we had a first reading for a resolution that we're looking to pass at our next meeting, which is essentially just creating some rules for the budget committee in terms of how we accept items onto our agenda, not unlike the way the town council does it. Joe LaMattina and I used the town council's rules as a baseline, but it's very rare that we do resolutions that are not related to budget-related matters, so I figured I would bring it up. But our hope is to just make sure that we have a regular and consistent schedule. We're not getting a drop that would not be fairly allowed for our committee members to review. But that's all I have.
Councilor Sanders.
The Arts and Tourism Committee has been meeting via Zoom, and we are working on our first project, which is Downtown Art Walk. And we have advertised both in the town newsletter, and I have sent it through the NBA to their members. And we have been getting quite a few digital samples of works of art and sculptures and fiber. At this point, we need more businesses to step up. I am going to be speaking with the NBA at their next meeting. And hopefully we can find some ways of maybe getting more of the businesses. They don't need to be an empty storefront. They can be just a store that has some available window space. So we are going to be reaching out to more of the businesses. But so far it's been really nice with the response we've gotten from the arts community.
I did want to ask you, Councilor Sanders, I know that one of our goals is, we see goal number 3 was the statue of Wentworth Cheswell, and I know that it was listed as potentially going toward the arts and tourism. Has there been any discussion at that?
There has been. It will probably never be a statue because there is no likeness of the gentleman for us to go by. So if there is something, it would be representational of the different offices he held or the different careers that he had. But there is no known likeness of him that we can go by. But that is another thing that's kind of working in the background while we're also working on the arts project.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey everyone, your mics kind of went a little quiet on me there, starting with Amy. It's hard to hear.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Just make sure you're up close to your mics
Oh, thank you.
and project.
Yeah.
No, I think it's Amy's mic. She usually talks really good. So it couldn't be her.
Get a new mic.
All right, so while we're doing that, I will,
Hey Tony, I had a committee update if that's okay. Perfect, thanks. Hey, so the planning board met in August, so we just had a couple public hearings, and then as Steve mentioned, the discussion of how to make zoning changes came up, and kind of how to make sure that the planning board wasn't doing work that the town council didn't want. So the chair had a great idea, which was to have a meeting with the town manager. So I'm glad that meeting happened to kind of get on board with it as well. So the next meeting also got pushed. It was going to be on the 8th, but because of election day, it is actually rescheduled for the 15th.
All right, so then moving on, resolutions in the second reading, and so that. Do we need?
Nope.
No. So then the next item are for the town council to consider nominations and appointments, and we have one this evening, and that is Chris Blackstone, who is applying to be on the Energy and Environment Advisory Committee for a 3-year term. And a motion to approve that application, please.
I'll make a motion to approve Chris Blackstone to the Energy and Environment Advisory Committee.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I will just make one, and that is, I'm so excited to say that this completes the Energy and Environment Advisory Committee. We will have full membership, assuming that we approve this. So, seeing no other comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Sanders.
Aye.
Council Dumont.
Aye.
Council Brayback.
Aye.
Council Kuiper.
Aye.
Council Matthews.
Aye.
Council Burns.
Aye.
Council Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
So exciting. And then we have a couple resolutions in the first reading, and so I will read those. The first one is Resolution 2020-2021-05, Electric Aggregation Committee. Whereas the Newmarket Town Council created the Energy and Environment Committee 3 years ago, and whereas the Energy and Environment Committee acts to recommend best practices in the area of municipal building, facilities and operations, fuel vehicles and transportation, responsible purchasing, energy sources, air quality, and climate. And whereas the Energy and Environment Committee recommends actions, projects, and programs to the Town Council, and whereas the Town of Newmarket has become a municipal member of Clean Energy NH, and whereas the Energy and Environment Committee would like to explore community power in Newmarket, and whereas the first step in exploring community power is to create an electric aggregation committee or to empower the Energy and Environment Committee to act as the electric aggregation committee. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the Newmarket Town Council approves the Energy and Environment Committee to act as the electric aggregation committee to explore community power in Newmarket, introduced by Council Chair Tony Weinstein. First reading September 2nd, 2020.
Madam Chair, for the next one, I would suggest just reading by title only, and then I'll explain what's going on.
Yes. Let me open it.
Want me to do it?
No, it's okay. So it's Resolution 2020-2021-06 to authorize the town manager to sign and submit Community Development Block Grant (CBDG) application and execute documents which may be necessary related to that application.
If I just may happen. This one is just to submit, let me execute for $25,000 for the Link Together for a study to build a facility for them. In the meantime, I received, and I want to apologize to the town council, because if this wasn't a good thing for the town, I would not be going for this. I think it was wrong the way it came forward, but this is a lot of money that's possibly coming into town that's available for COVID, and that, you know, I was very upset with the housing authority for the way they brought forward, but it's worth it. So what are the projects that are going to be amended to the public hearing are, one is for the housing authority expansion of Wi-Fi at Great Hill Terrace. Resident children and households in need of internet access for attending school either in person or remotely to have access to reliable internet for online educational programs, and both classrooms and after school for homework, and to provide tutors and assist students in the use of software programs and course instruction. The next is for the food pantry, an opportunity to provide low and moderate income persons impacted by unemployment, underemployment, and need to remain at home due to children with remote schooling, that they'll be receiving funds to help assist with their program. The welfare department would be receive funds to help with rental assistance, utility assistance, and people 19. The Recreation Department would be receiving the ability to have additional scholarships and financial assistance for low and moderate income families unable to afford children's participation due to the coronavirus pandemic. And the Sunrise Sunset Center would be also providing assistance to those who, for transportation, grocery and prescription delivery, and to low and moderate income seniors in Newmarket that are without family support during the coronavirus pandemic. There is no construction grant application, it's a program grant. And when we have the public hearing, we'll be going through all the formal federal items. I'm not asking you to amend the resolution tonight, but just let you know that the public hearing will be including those, even though the resolution does not. And I'll have the new resolution for you. I didn't want to lose out on the money for those programming due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence to the town council?
There is none.
And then any closing comments? Councilor Sanders.
I just have two. One is I just want to remind the community that we have 2 spots still available on the Arts and Tourism Committee, and we'd love to have some additional people on there. And the second is just a shout out to the librarian and her staff. Her staff have done a phenomenal job keeping the library functioning. I appreciate the drop-off, I appreciate the pickups, and I just wanted to give a shout out to them for all the good work they're doing.
Two things, seeing no other hands. Our next meeting is September 16th, and we will be having a non-public prior to that meeting, and I'll be sending out information about that. So we can expect that would be at 6 o'clock. And then we also have scheduled, and I will confirm with the chair of the school board, but we have a meeting scheduled, a joint meeting with the school board for September 23rd. Does that sound right, Steve?
Yep.
Sorry, when?
23rd?
September 23rd. So I just wanted to make sure that was on everyone's calendar.
Is that at 6?
Yeah, we're gonna have a non-public at 6, from 6 to 7, and then to go over some security items, and then start at 7.
And I'll
Steve, are you
confirm with
going to email us about the school?
Wait, I'm sorry. Christian was trying to ask.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Are we just going to get an email with that date for the September 23rd?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll confirm with the chair of the school board this week. I'll send him an email and just make sure that that's still on their radar. We had talked about that. I don't know if you remember. It was probably 2 months ago.
Yeah, end of June, beginning of July.
Yeah. So that's been on the calendar for a little while. And so seeing no other. Oh, Councilor Dumont.
Sorry, I should have mentioned this during committee reports. The Ordinance Oversight Committee is going to meet on September 14th at 7 p.m. It's going to be Monday next week. And I apologize for, sorry, not next week.
Yep.
2 weeks out.
Are we meeting via Zoom?
Yeah, we're just, until we get to a point where we don't have to do this,
Yeah.
we're just going to keep it on Zoom.
Yep.
Madam Chair, I'm requesting the town council make a motion to go in a non-public section under RSA 91A:3, Section 2, C, reputation, and I, security, and we'll be going upstairs to council chambers. And Councilor Matthews, you have the address for the secure Zoom, correct? Thank you.
Yep, I do.
So I'd take a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no discussion.
Councilor Sanders,
Aye.
Councilor Dumont,
Aye.
Councilor Brayback, Councilor Matthews,
Aye.
Councilor Burns,
Aye.
Councilor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Just
Oh.
ask that we keep our masks on. Unless we can get 6 feet upstairs. I don't